retweet is sent.
The microphone just a little bit. Ooh, let me get that hot, fresh retweet.
There you go.
Ooh.
It should show up in your mentions.
There we
Currently.
go.
Whew. All right. So
I think you'll appreciate the retweet that I just sent your way, Dan. Specifically you.
okay. All right.
Specifically.
Specifically him.
Okay.
Because I've got some questions for you, buddy. I've got
Oh,
a few
no.
questions for your life choices.
Okay.
And God bless you, man. You have the patience of a saint,
Yeah.
based on everything I watched last night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
When your mind is unraveling at such a rapid speed,
Mm.
it is hard not to be patient because you don't understand what's going on.
It's sort of a quiet confusion, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
looked more like a seething rage and confusion.
It's funny how confusion can look like seething rage.
Was it the same face that Dan made in the guitar picture?
Yes, that was it.
Was that the
That
face?
was it. It was the
It's all live
angry
on stage?
Dan on the stage, looking at the crowd, not knowing where he was. That's it. That
Oh,
was the
no.
look that he gave us all last night.
It was my future look. When I'm 70, that's the look I'm just gonna be on with. Anywhere I walk around, that's the look. I see a person on the street, I'm gonna look at them like that. They're gonna not want to talk to me. That's fine.
I'm gonna make sure in a good 60-something years to pay a kid to hand you a poorly drawn map to the glass throne. Say, hey, give this to that guy. That guy right there. Hand that to him. Oh, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 279 of the Planet Destiny podcast. We've got quite a show for you tonight because we are now in a post-Vault of Glass release world. And ooh boy, do we have some thoughts on that returning D1 raid. Joining us this week is our usual roundtable of hosts. The one, the only Mr. Dan Finity is here. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing better. I took a day off. It was kind of nice.
It seemed like you kind of needed one, and we'll get into why. Joining us after a very long hiatus is the one, the only, Mr. Aura. Good to have you back, man.
Biannual visit to the podcast here.
I actually had no idea you were going to be on until like 5 minutes before the show. I
neither
can't
did I.
express to you
Yeah.
my excitement.
Thanks, man. What time are we starting? 7. All right.
All right.
That's now.
Hi.
Let me go get some water.
I've got so many things to ask you because it's been a while and there's things have happened and I need your opinion on stuff. I want to hear you rant about. Have you gotten the null composure?
I haven't played Destiny. I haven't played. We'll get into it, I'm sure, once we get started here.
Mhm.
We'll talk all
Just
about
to-
the stuff.
Let you know that was the right answer. And of course, I am the Black Lake. Joining us this week as our special guest host is the one, the only. Hey, it's Orchid.
Hello.
How
Thank
you
you for
doing?
having me. Good. How are you?
Oh, super excited because in our short conversation before this, you expressed a mild amount of insanity at doing Vault of Glass.
I'm so tired.
You don't look it. You look as radiant as a fresh sunrise.
I have a lot of makeup on right now. That's the option that you have when you stream a lot. You can put makeup on and then not look tired.
I need to learn this. Is it possible to learn this power?
It is. There's YouTube. You can learn all sorts of things on YouTube.
Heading there. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's great to have you here, especially for an episode like this.
Thanks. I was really excited when Dan asked me to do the post raid race episode because Vault of Glass is probably my favorite raid. So yeah, I was very excited.
Well,
So,
why don't we just go
here we
ahead
are.
and dive on into it then? You say Vault of Glass is your favorite raid, I'm assuming from D1. So
Yes.
how do you feel about the experience here in D2?
The improved graphics is super awesome. It
Oh.
looked so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The raid hit very hard. Contest mode is no joke.
Right?
It was enjoyable. I like GMs a lot. I didn't do very many last season just because I'm more of a Crucible rat than a PvE person. So if I do GMs, people have to kind of drag me into them, but I like them once I'm there. I'm the person that my friends are like, you're gonna be fine once you're there, but you have to like get me to do the thing. You have to like drag me into it, and then I'm like, oh, it's a good time once I'm there, but I'm like, but yeah, it's opening the vault it hurt real bad, and then I'm like, oh no, the entire thing is gonna hurt real bad.
Right.
So it's gonna suck it's gonna be horrible. It's Dan and I were talking that the things that you remember, like the little things that you remember, you're like, wow, like even just like the sounds that you remember from like, I hadn't run it in years, and my team was made up of 3 people who've never run it before.
Really?
Oh no. And 2 of us were D1 vets that had run it many, many times. So the 2 of us were kind of teaching it as we were going along.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm okay with teaching raids. Like I said, I'm not really a raid person, but I'm enthusiastic. And I did my best. It was a good time. Between the 2 of us, we remembered all of the encounters. I'm not very good with the ages.
I'm same.
I'm more of a floaty warlock, so I'm not much of a give me the shield. I don't remember the buttons. So I mean, like, since having played, I played on PlayStation back in D1 and then switched to Xbox since D1. So I don't even have that account anymore.
Oh wow.
So I couldn't even go back to D1 and like try to play with people because I don't even have it.
Yeah.
So yeah. In the divorce I lost the PlayStation. So I can't come back and play it. That's unfortunately. Rude. I know, right?
The divorce.
I know. So I've like I have since like grinded to get like a D1 account, but like I only have like blues and stuff, and I don't even have like a full like warlock on D1 on Xbox to like play with people.
Right.
So there was no way I could go and like try to do it before the raid. It was fine, so I just kind of winged it.
Yeah, I mean, winging it was seemed to be. I mean, the raid itself, Vault of Glass, is mostly the same as it was in D1. So people who played the D1 version of it definitely had a leg up in the world's first race yesterday. But I think there was enough different there that it kind of threw everybody for a loop. I knew we were in a rough time. There were
differences. Yeah, there were differences enough that we're like, that's not how it was.
Right. When oracles start popping up and you have to destroy them in an order, that got people sweating.
Yeah,
just
because
a little bit.
We got stuck in the oracles. We're like, wait, this isn't how it was. So we had to sit there and think about it for a second, and it was fun that we had to that there was enough new stuff that we had to use our brains a little bit,
right?
And so it was good that we couldn't just blow through the raid.
And definitely couldn't do that. I knew we were in for a rough time when it took several minutes to get the spire built because Cyclopses were just destroying everybody in sight.
They were just one hitting everybody, and a lot of other teams of friends were coming into my stream later, and they were like, "How did you get through? Spire? How did you get through this? How did you get through that?" Because they had given up after a couple of hours because they couldn't get through Templar, or they couldn't get through whatever. Right. So it was fun to talk through at least like how like my team did it, but we were pretty cooked. Like by the time we got Atheon down to an amount, but I think by the time people had to go to sleep and things, and people had work, and we had lost people to One person was just like started to not feel well, and I think
Yeah.
like when you approach like that 16-hour time,
Ooh.
we kind
Yeah.
of and so we had switched one person out for another who was a D1 vet and knew what to do. We're like, do you have Gallarhorn? Do you have 200 clears? Like, did you bring Icebreaker with you?
The old checklist, right?
Yeah, exactly, just to be jerks. Because I mean, like, you can't not say that if you're gonna do Vault of Glass.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
that was on
tradition.
my checklist.
It's
Yeah.
tradition. You got to say it. So
You wouldn't believe how many people we kicked.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean,
So-
the raid itself was definitely an interesting experience. Contest mode
was.
being active made it rough.
Mhm.
It was so
Had a
rough.
rough time getting through all of that, and
Yeah.
I on one hand I like that. I know
Mhm.
there's one
Mhm.
person here who happened to make a tweet about liking contest mode aura. So has anybody run it today after contest mode went went offline?
Yes.
How would you compare the experience?
I mean, it's different. It's supposed to be different. So I have one day one within the first 24 hours clear.
Mhm.
Right.
And then afterwards, I went back with my original day one team, and we wrapped it up after contest mode. And it kind of was the same thing that Garden of Salvation was, where like once contest mode ended, it was so easy we died because we didn't realize we were going to kill things so quickly. We
Yeah.
actually were like out of sync with where we were supposed to be. So once contest mode ended, it was like a 2-phase on damage for Atheon.
Oh wow.
This was probably the most extreme difference between contest mode being on and off that I can recall. My memory isn't that great,
Mhm.
but it was like, I mean, I'm wearing my I Prevail shirt today. Like this is for a reason. Like I figured a way to kind of gut this out. Like felt like a really victorious weekend getting this done because it was not easy. I think it required builds that a lot of people might not have put energy or thought
Yeah.
process
Mhm.
into putting together.
Mhm.
So we relied heavily on debuffs and buffs and charged with light and playing your life and wells, and the team that got it done within the first 24 hours, it was like 3 chaos reaches and 2
Yeah.
celestials and 1 well, like no titan was on the
Mhm.
team. And then
Right.
afterwards, after contest mode ended, it was like there was like 6 of us on missile titan, like
Yeah.
just because
Yeet.
just to make sure that he died.
Yeah.
Right.
So but yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I like contest mode because it doesn't force me to use a specific weapon in most situations. I can use what I feel is going to be effective, period. And I feel like the Nightfalls, because of the modifiers and all the things, even down to like, okay, I can run an SMG, but if I don't run an arc one, it's not going to be useful kind of thing. Contest mode kind of made it feel like I could run whatever I wanted. And so
Yeah.
I started the raid out with Witherhorde, a Blast Bateau, I don't know,
Oh, the
and a
grenade
Brass
launcher.
Attacks, a sidearm.
Mhm.
And we opened the gate with me running a sidearm on the Praetorians and the ads. It just shredded everything. It ate up the shields, knocked them back. I was killing the red bars almost as if I was one-shotting them with a hand cannon. It was nuts.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed. I ran so many goofy weapons that I usually like complain about. Like I was running a sidearm. I was running a grenade launcher. When we got to Atheon, I was running a bow because I needed something with range, and scout rifles are
bow?
just so bad right now.
Are you Dan?
I was literally using whatever what is it called? I don't even. It wasn't even a good roll. It was just the only thing that I could like 2-shot the harpies from across the map with.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of being efficient and playing life. It reminded me like Vault of Glass, like in the beginning.
Yeah.
Defending the Confluxes was one of the hardest parts of the entire raid because of ad control.
Yeah.
Oracles with the Templar, after you did damage, like there's a billion Minotaurs. They just came out of like everywhere, and you're just surrounded
Yeah.
by all this stuff. So it reminded me a lot. It really gave me the original vibes. I do enjoy contest mode. I really do. I know it's not popular. It's not a popular opinion, but I like when PvE kicks my ass.
Mhm.
Right. I think it's an appropriate amount of challenge for this returning raid, and I'm glad that at least it's coming back in some form in a couple months when Bungie introduces that new hard mode for VoG, because it was definitely an experience. It felt like victory getting through, and I want to hear specifically from you on this, Dan. It felt like victory getting through the mess that was the Templars fight. Because you're right, If you sit there and you block those teleports, you are going to deal with a legion of minotaurs who have zero chill.
Yeah.
And,
And then the fanatics, you know,
And the
fight
fanatics,
behind
yeah.
them. And so now you're marked by an oracle, or marked for vengeance, or
trying to
whatever it's
run to the
called.
mid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the challenge there.
That was. I think that's where we spent the longest amount of time for my team, was that Templar fight, and it had a cathartic end. Like I yeeted the Templar right for the last bit of damage and knocked him out after hours of just kind of trying to pluck away at this dude. But like that was just the density of enemies in there, and that feeling of being surrounded at all times was very nostalgic because that was my first Vault of Glass experience, was just this kind of like collapsing phalanx around you of just metal. When this, I don't know, we went in thinking that we would play more defensive, but this raid seemed to reward you going on the offensive more so than not.
Yeah.
And it messed with the mechanics. The Templar fight, if I remember correctly, the Templar fight, they would have two. The way you were able to lock out the two positions was they were predictable, right? In this fight, it seemed more random.
There was more of them. I thought there was
Yeah.
only like 2 teleports, maybe 3 back in the original, and there was like 4, if not another one. And it made your entire team have to move to get to a DPS angle,
Yeah.
which sometimes was good. You know, if he teleported to where the initial spawn was in the room where you started, because no ads really messed with you until the damage phase was over, and you walked back, and there was just an army of a sea of Vex waiting for you to come back to where you have to fight for the oracles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, we threw everything. We were running chaos reaches. We were running Stormcaller. Any chain reaction became one of the most important perks that I've ever seen.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
forget Firefly. Chain reaction wiped entire sides for us. Like, cleared out an entire room of enemies in just a few shots. Plus, on grenade launchers, it can charge you with light when you get multi-kills with them. So now we're doing more damage on the bosses too. Like, the builds builds are always important, but it felt like they were really important for this. And as a guy who played like 5 minutes of Destiny 2 before Vault of Glass launched, I had almost none of the perks, like none of the mods to put on. Thankfully, they were somewhat early in the artifact, but I mean, it was vicious. It's not. That particular fight didn't really get a whole lot easier when contest mode ended, just because the oracles having to be done in order, and the ads are still the same amount of ads.
It's
and
a
the
lot to
snipers,
manage.
you know. And so I don't think it got all that much easier after contest mode ended. That particular part.
So for that particular phase, we'll go Conflux's Oracle Templar. What was everybody's strat here? Because I saw a bunch of teams trying to figure that out in a bunch of different ways. So I guess we can start with you, Orchid. What really worked for you there during the Templar phase and the Oracle phase?
For Confluxes, we actually use stasis.
Really?
Yeah, we used a lot of
that'll
stasis
do.
because you can, especially like the new hunter stasis aspect, because you can chain it, and warlocks have a similar one.
Yeah.
So with your grenade, and the warlocks have one where you can, if you spam your melee, and it'll chain freezing, so you can just shatter everything. So you can do a lot of ad control really, really well. So you can have one person completely like controlling all of the stairs in the center, and you don't need anything else. So if you have really, really high melee and a person with like, I don't know the name of anything in Destiny. I just rename everything however I want. So if you have like feather hands, and you just have one person standing like right on the stairs, and you just like throw melee at everything. So I just had feather hands and was like throwing like melee down there and like throwing grenades. Like you can just like you can add control for days and you don't have to worry about anything. So
Right.
like the ad control was really easy for confluxes. So everyone was just running stasis.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Stasis is really gross.
Yeah.
A little. I think there might be one or two people who agree with that.
I mean, it's really gross in Crucible too, but that's my. I didn't have to change any of my aspects because that's my Crucible build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm disgusting at Crucible. So I make zero apology.
Listen, all's fair in
Yep.
Crucible and War.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right about stasis locking things down because the spawns for the most part didn't really change. That was something
I really didn't.
I kind of expected them to change at least a little. And I think the only real thing that was different was, popping in the occasional wyvern or a thydra rather to
Yeah,
come
the
and pump on you.
Thydras were but those even stasis, like if you had your super, the supers destroyed them immediately. Like it just blinked them out of existence. Because the stasis supers just locked them down and then you could shatter them. So if you had two people on each conflux and one person popped their super, especially the hunter super, you could just like as one person put it, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
So people are there was a lot of stasis just going off all over the place. So
Yeah, it's a good way to lock down all the enemies when they, spawn from those static points. You just toss a grenade or a melee over there and the entire wave is locked.
Yeah, it was just like a weird snowstorm in there. But I didn't really expect us to use stasis. I expected more of kind of a traditional use of supers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We used, I think one person used, I think someone used Chaos Reach, and that actually helps because you can just sweep it on through and you can get a lot of things too. But we found that stasis was a really good super to use.
Mm-hmm.
That actually helped.
I was using sunspot hammers.
Yeah, sunspots actually helped too. Someone put their fire pants on, and then we could all stand in the sunspots. Like I said, I don't know what anything is called. Feather hands and I don't know what anything's called.
I 100% did that as well. But it was. I really enjoyed the changes that they made to each fight. Going into this, especially like that kind of like vague notion of going in knowing how to do the fight if you played D1 and then like just that little twist to kind of turn.
Yeah.
What were some of the ones that were most surprising for you guys, and what were some of the ones that were most frustrating for your team?
I think the oracles were probably the most surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And probably the most frustrating for our team. And it took a lot of conversation and a lot of call outs that we weren't expecting to have to do. Because the orders kept changing. So we locked it down, and I ended up being a roaming person. So it was just like whichever ones popped up first, we would just call as one. So we would have one person just like looking at 2 or 3. And then whichever one they saw would just call one. Gotcha. So that's how it worked out for us.
Yeah,
That's just how we ended up making it work. And then I just ended up being this. I'm a good sniper, so I just ended up like perched with Xeno and taking care of snipers and doing ad clear. So
I was very happy that Xeno finds so much use in this raid.
Yes.
It's great for bopping the hobgoblins, one-shots the oracles, super useful exotic.
Super useful. And if you didn't have it, it was very regrettable. And I'm really glad that my team, for the most part, all had it. That's kind of become the must have Xeno, must have anarchy. It has been kind of become the new D2 like must have things. And it's fortunate that you can just go buy anarchy with spoils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one of my friends, Mylan Games, a bunch of us ran him through a bunch of raids to get Anarchy
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't have it.
Like what, 200 and
So,
something spoils?
It's 280 spoils, I
Ooh.
think. And so he farmed like the raid over and over and over again to get the spoils before the end of last season when you could
Mhm.
still do that. I think you still can. don't
Not
know.
Deepstone Crypt. You can't farm that for spoils anymore.
I didn't think you could, but you could before the end of the season.
Yeah.
And he did it in like one day.
Oof.
Oh my god.
That is a lot of runs to get
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Good lord.
Yeah, it was. I was not involved in that, but I know a lot of people who were. I watched it, but oh my goodness. But Xeno, I know you still have to go do,
Yeah.
which is good because I mean it's a cool like quest. So
Especially since they fixed it. I know it was
Yeah.
broken for the lost sectors,
right.
like last season.
I think it was, yeah.
But they, like, I liked that Xeno came into play and was so useful.
Mhm. It's so useful. It's so good.
Wither
Like
Horde,
Xeno is so good.
I use
Wither Horde is really good.
Yeah, I used that pretty much the entire raid, even against the oracles, which was surprising.
What?
In certain circumstances,
Explain.
I was one-shotting like the R3 oracle on the right-hand
Yeah.
side.
Really?
I think because I had breaching clear on. I think that might have
Okay.
had a little bit to do with it. But other than that, I was using Wither Horde and Null Composure in conjunction with one another. So like shoot it with Wither Horde, hit it with Null Composure once, and it was dead. So
Yeah.
if you didn't have Xeno, it took 2 weapons to then like make up for that in my arsenal.
Right, because they were a little tanky otherwise. I had the group that I was with, there was somebody on there who was trying to use a scout rifle to pop them
Mm-hmm.
and just wasn't getting enough damage out. So we had him swap
No.
to like a fusion rifle or a shotgun and just try to get in there and pump out as much as he could.
Actually ended up using Null Composure
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot
for
of
a
people
lot of
using
the
that.
raid. I
Yeah.
ended up using it for a lot of the raid, and I'm like, why am I using this?
Void
and I just
Fusion.
had it with me.
Yeah, Void Fusion.
It ended up like it just like if you had it fully loaded, it ended up just like destroying ads, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, why is this good?
A
Yeah.
lot of Void.
Wasn't expecting it, and I liked using it. And people are like, why are you using this? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it works, right? I
I'm
mean,
tired and it works. It's good.
it works.
I started using it after TBL praised it so highly last week. And I was like, why is it good? And
Why
he-
is
was
it
that high
good?
praise?
And he
Yeah, why is it good?
It's
Don't know.
It's-
I like it though.
It is good at what it does. The way you're supposed to use it is you fire one shot, immediately reload, fire another shot. That's one of the reasons why it's a rapid frame fusion. The problem
That's
with
what
it-
I was doing.
yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to use
Okay.
Reservoir Burst in conjunction with Feeding Frenzy. The problem with it is we already have a weapon that does that much better. It's called Salvager Salvo. It also does more damage and creates bigger explosions than Null Composure. So Null Composure, it's great in PvE, but it's not as good as the previous, I don't know what Bungie calls them now, ritual weapon that Bungie offered in Salvager Salvo. But if you're going up against Void shielded enemies, yeah, Null Composure can be great. It shreds.
Yeah, and there were a lot of them. So
Yeah. The entire raid is just, Praetorians.
yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to the oracles and all that for my team, the oracle phase, since 7 oracles will ultimately spawn up, we just had everybody, since we had like 2 people who had never run VOG before. So we just had everybody go to a specific spot and they would be responsible for one particular oracle. Since the oracles always spawn in the same spot, it's just a different order. Everybody's in charge of one particular oracle, and then I was in charge of 2. And then when the oracles start popping up, if your oracle pops up, you count it out in order. Okay, I'm number 1, you're number 2, I'm number 3, I'm number 4. And then, when they went into physical existence, we just popped them in the same order by counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we kind of got that rhythm down, we blew through the oracle phase. It took us like maybe 2 or 3 tries of doing that to finish that and get over to Templar, which I found to be a lot of fun. The Templar fight is hectic, but I found it to be a lot of fun. I didn't yeet him. I think we just kind of sat on the struggle bus of trying to fight, trying to fight him, and then giving up and saying, "Okay, we're just going to do this in multiple phases." I think we finished him literally right as he was enraging. So that was interesting. But I think it's a lot easier now. People are like, what, one phasing him with just yeet titans?
Yes. Yeet is all you need.
Yeah. I think it's a lot like Taniks now, where you just go double shotgun anarchy yeet, which it's a beautiful thing. I don't have the dexterity to pull that off, but I can appreciate it from afar. So that's the Templars. Well, I think, does anybody else have anything to say about the Templar fight? Any other thoughts on it?
We kind of tried that. It was a little hard to get like the location right for that. We ended up more doing like a well and chaos reaches.
Oh yeah.
I was running more of like a well, and I was Divinovich. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So that was just my job.
We would just go for one block, take care of ads, take care of oracles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then do max DPS if we could. And that's when I changed over to Yeet Titan.
Right. That's about what we settled on too. Block one teleport and then just play it safe from there.
Yeah.
When we started, we were blocking like 3 or 4 teleports in a row, and then just getting destroyed by the punishment Minosaurs.
Yep.
Like
that's
Aura
what we
said,
were doing. So
they come out in an army and they're looking for a bottom to paddle, and yours looks great.
Yep. Yeah,
so,
we figured out we couldn't do more than 2.
Taking that a little slower worked for us. You guys get any good loot from that?
Yeah, I did. I got a found verdict that was really nice. It has full choke, a tactical mag, full auto, and opening shot.
Oh, okay. I think it's interesting that they changed found verdict from being a rapid fire shoddy to a high impact frame. It's like
gonna hurt people within the crucible.
You just bodied Astral Horizon and Fellwinners, and then you introduce another one.
I know.
Oh well, do what you got to do.
It sucks to be everybody else.
I got the same drop on all 3 characters the entire way through.
Oof.
What?
I have like 100 million Praetor's Revenge and found verdicts.
Gee.
I got 1 Fatebringer. I got 1 Hesitant Vengeance on my last clear. I got a bunch of armor.
Yeah.
But for weapons, it was just the same ones. I think it's the same as Deepstone Crypt, where like your first chest, the first secret chest can only be what you already earned, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly. I mean, I ended up with 3 pairs of gauntlets, and there's 2 chests I think between the 2 encounters, 2 secret ones.
Yeah.
So it was
I got 2 found verdicts.
Unfortunately, I mean, if there's a good roll in a found verdict, I probably have it because there are at least 20. Because I didn't realize that your spoils from Deepstone Crypt work in Vault of Glass.
Oh, they work
So the first thing I did was just buy every found verdict that I could with max because I'd never used them. So there's a lot of found verdict purchasing.
All I got was armor. I only got armor from everything. So I've got a full set of Vogue armor now, but no weapons to show for my time in there, which is great.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
I did get I do have gauntlets and boots and a helmet too. So I don't have the chest piece and I don't have the bond yet. But I still haven't pushed Atheon off the edge. So I'm gonna do that after this.
It's funny because there were so many people trying that because of course Bungie put out that tweet. They had to put out that tweet saying yes, it is possible to push a boss off the edge. And the way to do it, I think, is the most hilarious thing in the world. Have you guys seen how you actually do it?
I saw somebody
is it the
do
box?
it with
Do you like kick the
Jotun.
box underneath his feet?
Well, yes, he refuses to stand anywhere where there's another physical object. So you take any of the boxes around the battlefield and you just push them in his path. If you put him where he spawns, he'll literally just like run away from them and go to parts of the battlefield he's not supposed to go to.
Oh my god.
But the way, yeah, it's silly. But the way you push people is you take a stasis warlock, jump off a cliff, and you die while you're in mid boost. You do that 5 to 10 times. So you got to pop your super to do it and die while you're in mid floof. So you got to wait a long time to get this done. Do that 5 to 10 times. For whatever reason, that turns your warlock into a bubble boy. So whenever you go up near anything with any sort of physical form in the game and you jump and activate your boost, it will just reject that thing's existence and launch them as far away from you as possible. So there's some great clips of people going into like Last Wish and then going to Morgeth and stuff like that, doing this for 20 minutes, just killing yourself over and over for 20 minutes in your super, and then just boost jumping next to the boss and launching him into the stratosphere. It does work against Atheon, but I haven't seen anyone kill him with it yet. He just kind of bounces around like a pinball.
I have heard that someone's done it with Jotun.
Yes, that.
Oh god.
And
Yeah.
I have heard that someone did it with a Titan bubble and a tether, and they tethered two of the explodey hydras like into him, and then like he exploded and died. It was a one-hit kill.
Yeah, so I've seen 2
Did you
videos
see
of that.
that?
Yeah, 2 videos of that happening on Atheon and one on the Templar. So people are trying to figure out if it's the supplicants being tethered and blowing themselves up, counting as shared damage. But it also seems to have something to do with a bubble because
I think it's the bubble at his feet.
Yeah, because this happened with the Templar too. There was a great clip of like a team going to do DPS on the Templar. Someone drops a bubble on one of the teleports and the Templar warps to it. And then they just run back and shoot him while he's in the bubble. And it takes down 75% of his health in the first shot. It's who knows what's going on here.
I want to try it.
Yeah, same here. Oh my god, I love this stuff.
I know.
One of my first
finding stuff like this.
Yeah. One of my first Destiny videos was literally pushing Atheon off the cliff. After Bungie put up the baby bumpers, when you had to kind of guide him over the invisible walls. It was great. There is another one. For some reason, sometimes when you die in the glass throne, it will spawn you in the future teleport. Just randomly. And Atheon's there before you start his encounter. That's where his character model is stored, just like Atrax 1 in Deep Stone Crypt, and he has no shield in there. So you can sit in there for 15 minutes just plinking away at him. He won't fire at you or anything, and kill him that way. I have no idea how to trigger that, though. Sometimes when you randomly die in his throne room, it just sends you into that portal. So there is cheese. There is absolutely cheese for this fight, and I couldn't be happier.
So much Swiss, so much Gouda.
I love it. I love it. The stuff is just in there, and you can make new D2 memories and the same stuff where we made ridiculous D1 memories. So
it makes me happy.
It makes me so happy. Yeah.
So I guess that's the Templar. Let's move on. I guess the Gorgon's Maze. I was surprised there really wasn't much different there.
Yeah,
no, there wasn't.
It was just the usual Gorgons, the same pathway. The only difference was the Pradith door had a new mechanism for opening it. You blow up those 3 Vex boxes throughout the maze, and then you go in there for a chest, which I think is cool. But I was surprised that they didn't put anything new there.
Nothing.
That was kind of weird. Then after that, of course, we have the Gatekeeper encounter, which incorporates the change from the oracles. This is where I really started to like the change with the oracles. Because there was a lot of after the Gatekeeper encounter when you get to Atheon. I like the Gatekeeper encounter too. I like that they made it more relic focused, since it's no longer just going into one side, going into another side without the relic. You got to go in there with the relic, clear a bunch of things, then pass that relic to the other portal, clear a bunch of things, pass the relic back. I thought this is clearly a change they made to force multiple people to learn how to use the relic.
Yeah, and I think it works really well.
It does. Once we figured that out, I thought, it's like patty cake. You're just kind of going back and forth.
It didn't work for me. I still can't use it. My team forbade me.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like, and one of the criticisms of this raid, or I posted earlier that I enjoyed this raid and the changes that they made to it, specifically because like it feels like what a Destiny raid should be, right?
Yeah.
Especially mechanically, and um, Better Off Blue mentioned that it was one of the his disagreement with that is that it relies too heavily on somebody knowing how to do one roll, right? Especially
Right.
with the relic. But with that kind of training ground, the Conflux is a training ground for the relic, and enables you to kind of play around with it, mess around with it in a space that probably now isn't too dangerous.
Yeah. A little easier to work with now than it was yesterday.
Yeah. But I think I think that overall that's a good thing. That it encourages people to learn something, to do a role that they might not otherwise have done, which is
Yeah.
kind of what DSC's whole deal was, right? Like it
Yeah,
forced
kind
a
of.
role.
With the scanners and all of that,
Mhm.
bouncing between different people. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And to explain the difference between D1 VOG gatekeepers and D2. So in D1, you go in, you have the initial gatekeeper in middle, you destroy him, then you go into one portal, whether it's left or right, you destroy another gatekeeper, then you go into the other one, destroy that one, then everybody heads to the mid to defend a conflux. It was really simple, it was really straightforward. And it wound up getting to the point where, okay, you just get one person with a sniper and Gjallarhorn or something, they can body a gatekeeper by themselves and then head into a portal and do that and do it on the other side. This time around, you destroy that initial gatekeeper. That allows you to open up the portals. You got to take a relic into one portal. You use it to destroy a shielded minotaur that can only be busted by the relic itself. And then after that, you have to take that relic outside, drop it for somebody else so they can take it into the other portal. Because if you have the relic, when you go through a portal, you get a debuff for, what is it, about 45
seconds.
That prevents you from going into another portal. So Bungie specifically did not want one player having that relic and bouncing back and forth between all the portals. They were like, no. You brought candy to class. You're sharing it with the whole class.
Mhm.
And so I thought that was a really interesting way to handle it. And once we figured that out and got the hang of it, I thought it was pretty easy. We go in. I was the first relic holder. I'd bop the first Minotaur, immediately head out, drop it, head back into my portal. They would take it into theirs and go back and forth. I think you're right, Dan, when you say it was a method, sort of like what they did in Deepstone Crypt, of passing different buffs and different abilities to kind of force everyone to learn how to do something.
I
Don't
think.
know if everybody liked it.
Well,
It
I
was
don't think
interesting.
I don't think it's beneficial if there's something that only one person does
Yeah,
and can do.
Mhm.
You know, like running sword on Crota. Like if you didn't have a
Yeah.
good sword runner, you couldn't beat Crota.
that
And
was
it's
it.
like, well, if everybody had to do a swipe in order to beat Crota, then people would know how to do it and probably get more completions overall. I don't have a problem with people having to use the relic. It's not like the responsibility was crazy high. Like all you
Right.
had to do was pick it up and just melee or use the super to take the
Yeah.
shield off. Because once the shield's off, it's the same thing as in Guard to Salvation, where you just rip that shield off the immune whatever, then everybody else can damage them.
Right.
It's the same
Yeah.
principle. The thing about it that during challenge mode that made it somewhat difficult was that the hordes of enemies that followed suit, you know what I mean? Like, again, Wither Horde, anything with chain reaction, anything that it could do that could clear ads rapidly while dealing with a
Yeah.
Hydra. You know, you had that immune Minotaur, and then you also had to kill a Hydra by the time somebody was coming to get you out, essentially.
Right.
So it was kind of like a bit of a relay race, but I liked it. I liked the change. I didn't remember, like, I guess I wiped Gatekeeper from my mind in D1 because I didn't remember much of any of it.
Yeah.
I just remember Demise being like, "Where's the Conflux? Where's the Conflux we're defending? It's not in the middle. What's going on?"
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was like, they're both inside now.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you have to defend the middle Conflux from all three sides. Again, whoever has the relic last kind of just keeps it, and you're killing the immune Minotaurs, and then you have 3 Thydras, and then that's it for the encounter.
Right.
Probably the easiest of of all of them. Even I'd say easier than opening the front gate for Vault of Glass for us.
In Destiny 1, I remember there being like 2 or 3 of the relics that you're bandying about. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, I think you were. Was it like every time you went in, you? I don't remember.
I
I'm just
think
gonna
there
flat out
was
tell you,
a
I don't remember.
Hydra that if you killed it, it dropped a relic for you on either side. So there were maybe like 2, maybe
It might have been 2 instead of 3.
yeah, but even that seems like a less elegant solution to that puzzle than this one did.
Yeah, I mean, the notion of adding triple confluxes to this phase, I thought was an interesting way to handle that, since the way Bungie sets up their raids, it's always the first couple of encounters teach you how to do the later encounters, and adding extra confluxes inside past and future, I thought was an interesting way to handle that, because you couldn't just our first like 5 wipes on that was because we were only sending people into one portal at
Yeah.
a time, because we didn't think about the other one until we finally like, wait, let's go check that other one. Oh, there are Vex in here
There are Vex
sacrificing themselves
Where are they
in
sacrificing?
mass. Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting, you use the term elegant. I think you're right. That was an interesting kind of elegant way to sort of bring that whole notion of the earlier confluxes back in this phase. And it goes by quick enough. Once you knew what you were doing there, that phase did not last long.
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
took
what?
us. Yeah.
3, 4 sacrifices you have to prevent, or 4 waves of them. And
It's 4
that's
waves
pretty
of
much it.
them.
Yeah.
And then there's a middle conflux that you have to defend.
Right. So I didn't think I thought that was an interesting change to that. I will say, maybe it's a glitch, maybe it's something. How do you guys feel about the relic here in D2? I don't like it.
I don't like it either. The relic in D1 was easier to use.
It was certainly more powerful.
Yeah.
The relic here in D2 feels more like a burdensome tool.
Mm-hmm.
It does, the conscripted body of Kabir, Legend Among Titans. It and this is something I was talking about a bit on Twitter with guys like Devious. There's some issues with the relic shield right now. Right now, I think it's glitched. It doesn't block all incoming damage or even
Mhm.
lessen it like it used to in D1. There were quite a few deaths we had at Atheon where like we were clearly in the shield at max health and just having it bypassed and not
Yeah.
having splash damage kill us, because everybody knew to stand far away from that pillar there. And the damage on it has definitely been nerfed.
Yes.
It did, even the super deals nowhere near as much damage. At least doesn't feel like it deals nearly as much damage as it did in D1. And ultimately, I found the best use for it was to go out, block like an initial hit of damage, drop it, throw a super, grenades, fire a couple things, and then pick it back up, rather than sitting there and use it for damage or blocking things. And that bums me out. So I don't know. Maybe I thought that might have just been me. What do you guys feel about the relic?
They couldn't, like, because of contest, you weren't going to beat the raid if you didn't drop it and do damage.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
You were gonna get to the enraged state. So
Right.
the way it was engineered for contest mode, you had to do exactly what you said. You could still survive the attacks from all of the ads and Atheon in the well, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, just drop a well.
Because it invalidated the relic itself. If you are
Mhm.
protected by your well, then you don't need the relic other than to make sure it doesn't wipe anybody. So
Right.
the teams that I was on that got the 24-hour contest mode clear had to drop it in order to do the damage. Afterwards, it's like whatever. You could be skating around the map with it, having fun, because you're doing so much damage anyway. Like, it wasn't necessary. It's sad, but at the same time,
Yeah.
who wants to just stand there holding block? Like,
Right.
Yeah. Nobody.
Well, I mean, running that in D1 made me feel like I had utility, because if you didn't take that relic to the middle where everybody was DPSing, they were going to die. Everyone
Mhm.
was going to die. And in this, holding the shield felt like I was more of a detriment to my team because I wasn't
Wasn't
dealing
doing
the
DPS.
damage that we needed. And so it didn't feel great to basically have to cleanse and then go out there and just hold it and watch as we barely plink away at the boss's health there. And it's funny, Aura, you mentioned earlier in the show that you got to try a bunch of different things that aren't usually the meta for damage during this. And I think the final fight against Atheon is the perfect example of that, in that abilities and supers were a far better way of dealing damage to him than almost everything else. You can drop your anarchies, for the breach and clear, which was incredibly beneficial. I don't know of any teams that cleared for worlds or that competed for worlds first that didn't ultimately wind up using that. But after dropping your initial couple of grenade shots or anarchy shots or whatever, swapping to supers dealt so much more damage than everything else. For me, I was just going to middle, dropping a well, since, that's the thing that kept everybody alive, and then throwing fusion grenades at them. It was crazy how much damage fusion grenades were doing over stuff like Xenophage. Even Deathbringer, which is top tier in terms of DPS now, especially if you get the catalyst for it, wasn't dealing nearly as much as I was doing with just fusion grenades, or if I was running Chaos Reach. Chaos Reach was monstrously powerful against Atheon. So, what were you guys' thoughts on that final fight, and what was the strategy you used to ultimately get the clear? I guess we start with you, Orchid.
I wouldn't know what the clear feels like.
Same.
Rip.
Oh,
You will.
ooh, my bad.
Rip.
You will. So, okay. So, what strategy were you guys using? Did you
Big
find
regrets.
any success at all?
Yeah, so we were finding we needed the Xenos to get because we were finding that we weren't getting the oracles fast enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because the oracles were killing us, especially since by that time we were, encroaching on, 15 hours
Mhm.
Yeah.
clears, because getting to the confluxes, you guys are like, yeah, it's super easy. But because when you're dealing with 3 new people and 2 people going like, this is not how it was.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
And we're going like, what are we missing? Like, why is it not the same? And yeah, we figured out that we're like, with like other things, sacrificing and then splitting everybody up and wondering like, okay, we need to change our supers back to things that just like do massive amounts of damage, because people were
Right.
dying way too easily. So we ended up switching back to stasis and back to like ad control, because that's the thing that kept us alive, and not like running, because 2 of us were running well, I think. I think it was I was running well, and then we had 2 chaos reaches, and then we had we had a yeet titan, and we had something else, and we had 1 hunter. We ended up having to switch back and forth to other stuff so we could get actual like ad control, and it was having to actually like strategize on the fly and switch all of our stuff in and out was probably the thing that took the most time. And like tempers were getting very short at that point.
What hour
Because
in was this?
This is like 15 hours in, 14 hours in, it was probably 14 hours in at this point. And my friend Sam and I were just like, okay, you guys just listen to us, please. Please. It was fine though. Like
Right.
we got like once we got to Atheon and got like all that stuff going, and tried to explain how it worked. Oh Lord. And the easy like Mars is on the left and it has 4 letters because Mars has 4 letters, and Venus is on the right and has 5 letters because Venus has 5 letters. Like that was easy. Like easy to remember, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And so people are like, where am I? I'm like, Mars it has nothing. It is sand. Like Venus has all of the stuff. It has trees. Like, what do you see? Oh, I see trees. You're on Venus. Good job.
On Venus, right side.
You're on Venus. Venus has trees. I've never seen Venus before. Like now you have. It has trees. Are you sure Venus has trees?
Yes.
We were
Oh,
we
my
were on
goodness.
Venus when we started. It had trees. Didn't you notice it had
I've
trees?
been to Venus before
That
you were
was-
even a guardian.
That was Venus? Yes. The vaults of glass is on Venus.
So that right there is kind of, I think, going to be the heart of this section of the conversation, because everybody seemed to initially have some real trouble with callouts, locations, and oracles when it comes to the Atheon fight. Because, of
Oh my
course,
god.
oracles have to be destroyed in order now. And the way this fight works is it's the same template from D1. 3 people are going to get ported to either left side or right side. 3 people are going to have to remain outside to keep the portal open. The people who get ported inside the portal are going to have to destroy oracles in a specific order, and the people who tell them what order that is are on the outside. I saw no less than 25 different sets of callouts for this stuff yesterday, and in particular, I got to watch one man, Dan Finity, almost lose his mind as he was trying to figure out the proper callouts, the proper order. People were sending him different maps, like the most MS Paint of crayon maps that made no sense whatsoever.
It took me so long to get that permanent marker off of my forehead. So long.
It was rough, man. It was really, really rough. The group I was in started with trying to say, okay, front left, front right, back left, back right, but that just confused people who were getting ported in. Because like I said before, we had like 2 people, I think, who had never run VOG and didn't realize that when they got teleported, the room they were in was basically an inverse of the room you're in. They're spawning up at the top. So they're thinking, oh, front right is like the thing that spawns right in front of me. It's like, no, good God.
No.
And so eventually we went with the numbering system and just put it in a clockwise format. And this is what, that's what really worked for my group. Just think of it as being clockwise. Whether you're looking at it from this angle or this angle, if you think of it as being clockwise, this is one, just move around in a circle, and eventually that was what wound up getting us the most success.
Yeah.
How did you guys handle figuring out the oracle callouts? Oh, Dan's got it there.
Yep. I wrote
Beautiful.
it down because
Beautiful.
it was driving me nuts.
This is what we did. And you guys are going to smash your faces into a wall because it almost killed us every single time, but we got through it. Except we didn't. We would run through, kill the ads every single time to the platform and look from there. So we would always have the actual like way that they were calling it out.
So you guys would run up to the top. Okay. That, that would
so we would see what they saw.
That would probably help the portal team quite a bit.
A lot of people did
So
that.
we would kill it from there. Yeah, that's what we did.
See,
so we would we would either stand back at the door or we would stand on like at the Atheon's like platform.
Yeah. Wow.
And then shoot from there. And that's what we did.
That makes
sense. And it would leave us very little time for error.
Yeah.
So you would have to have one person, hopefully, on each that got pulled through. That was a very good sniper. So it was either me that got pulled through, usually that would do the killing, or if Sam got pulled through, he was the one that did it.
Right.
Pray it was one of the 2 of us on the team.
See, once we started getting it cooking, like, and figured out the puzzle itself, finally, it was the people on the outside would call it out. They started to end up using like top left, top right. Like, they started using those call outs. I do think the numbering system works better. Especially once you get inside, because it's like 1 syllable generally to get the call out. And once you're inside the portal, you basically kill everything, run down to the middle, get cleansed, and then turn 180 degrees, and you're looking at what the team on the outside's looking at too. So one's right dead ahead of you on the top of the stairs, and 6 is behind you, or 4 is behind you, excuse me. And that was the confusing bit, is because everybody was thinking of it as a clock.
Yeah.
instead of as 6 numbers in a circle.
We did the number strat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never had a problem once we moved to that. Not one. Never shot the wrong one. It was the thing that made it the most maddening was getting to that point though, because it took time to see where they were all spawning, and then
Yeah.
it took time to associate that with the fact that they were in the same spot once you got teleported.
Right.
And that was the really frustrating, like, okay, there was, we knew that we had to shoot the oracles in order. That was the hint that they gave us along the way, you know, as you're progressing through Vault of Glass. But there
Yeah.
was nothing that really prepared us for what was to come once we got to Atheon's room. And so, like,
Exactly.
that was the thing that really started to get our, and like, we're a bunch of friggin' jokers. There's still, I can't tell you stories in the podcast of the stupid shit that we do to keep things light. In the group. So like, we weren't at each other's throats or anything like that, but all of us were very clearly starting to be like, you know, this is just not working for us. I think the first like 20, maybe the first 10 wipes we had, it was almost the same. Looking back at the film, it was almost the same 3 that we got every time.
Yeah.
So it's like, we still hadn't seen where the other 3 spawn once you're in
Right. Didn't get past that first wave.
Right. So like that, I think that was the part of the challenge to it. And then, you know, not knowing the right strats for DPS, once you finally, whether it's luck, chance, whatever,
Yeah.
get to a damage phase, our positioning was so bad and so poor that we'd only get like 10 seconds of Time's Vengeance to do any damage.
Yep.
And so like, we go through all of this work, we finally get to damage phase, we have 10 seconds of damage, we do like 4 HP to damage with Atheon.
Oh,
We're like,
gosh.
man, because it's a long time to get to that point to not do
Yeah.
damage. You know, it's a pretty significant time sink to everything. So that's the part that frustrated me. Now that the guides are out there, it doesn't matter. That this is going to turn into an ACP CAP thing, only worse.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yes.
the number system works. Whichever one you start on, I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I don't care if you start all the way on the right hand side. It was number 1. Doesn't matter. Just
Yeah.
show me the map, and I'll shoot the right one every single time.
Right.
That was what got us, because we tried R1 middle, back middle, front
Yeah.
middle. We're like, what are you talking about?
No.
That was confusing to me.
No.
Well, the team that got the 24-hour,
That's what we did too.
They did R1, L1, mid, and spawn, and like R1 and L1 were inverse to everything. Didn't make any sense,
Right.
but like I
That's
had the
the
map in
thing.
front of me so I could see what they were talking about, and that's really all that mattered.
So that's what
You
the
could call it
NFS on
elephant.
the-
As long as you have a map that says elephants right here, I'm gonna know where to shoot.
Yeah.
Like,
Ugh. You said mid and spawn, and I was like, oh, so that's what that map was saying.
That's the
I'm having flashbacks to last night. I hate it. I hate it so much. I don't know why.
mid spawn, stand here, look this direction, you know,
Yeah.
Alpha,
Hop on one
Bravo,
foot.
Kappa.
Don't forget it.
You know, you could call them whatever you want as long as the map dictates what it is and you can have 2 screens up. I feel bad for anybody who couldn't have 2 screens up
Yeah.
when they were doing it. You know, that
Yeah,
was
I
the
could
thing
not
for me.
imagine that.
One of my teammates only has 1 monitor, and I'm like,
Oh my
how? Put it on your phone.
Yeah, whip out a
Yeah.
phone or something, because I had to look at a map
Screenshot
to
it,
figure
yeah,
it out.
like whatever
Like,
you can. So like
Print
that, I
it
think that was
out,
the
draw it
frustrating
on
part
paper.
for- I think, you know, while I was actively in it, I was like, I hate this. Like, this is
Yeah.
so dumb. I hate it. But now that like I've had time to not be frustrated, digest, go
Yeah.
went to bed, ate some food, it's like, you know what, this is a pretty good change for what compared to what it was, because it was too easy before.
Yeah.
I mean,
Stand here,
if
shoot
you
this.
could pick up relic and kill all of the oracles and all of the ads and not have anybody else in there do anything but look at each other. And so now, like, you really do have to have everybody kind of involved in it. So I think that change brought the most frustration from everybody, according to my Twitter feed.
Mhm.
But I like it now that I've gotten it done.
Right. Yeah, now that I understand it, like I said, once we figured things out with the numbers, we consistently got to damage phase. Like the Oracle things was never a problem again. It was just soul crushing to get to damage phase and then deal like a fifth of his health because of all the things that Aura just mentioned. There's a lot going on there. Positioning was really weird. None of us were expecting the detain mechanic. If I
Right.
had to say there's one thing from the fight that I dislike, it's probably the detain mechanic, because it's so easy to miss, and that's one of the things that really took us a while to get used to. Because it doesn't pop up immediately upon getting Time's Vengeance. It's a couple seconds into
He
it.
does an animation, and that when
Yeah.
he does the animation is when it pops up. And they did a good job making sure that it wouldn't disappear, no matter how many buffs you have active.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, I was
Yeah.
playing like a legitimate like World of Warcraft. Like all the crap that was on my screen with
Right.
everything that we were
Through.
doing that was going
Too
on.
many
Like it looked,
buffs.
I mean, it looked like I was coding or like the Matrix with all the stuff going on, but like they made sure that it was there. So all you had to do was pay attention. And the other thing that was kind of strange is, and I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but we were able to wipe that mechanic by whoever had the shield, the relic. If they dropped it, the person who was going to be detained picks it up and drops it. It went away. This happened 2 times in a row.
I saw your tweet.
It happened to us. We got it 2 times in a row. The third time, I was up and I choked and fell off the map. So it was really elegant too. It was, yeah. Anyway, it was an aura moment. It was the kind of thing that only I could do. But so we didn't get a chance to validate it for the third time. And I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's a glitch. But we found that if you were going to be detained and you picked up the relic and dropped it, your detained went away. You did not get detained. Nobody got caught. Nobody was in the bubble. Didn't move it to somebody else or anything like that. It was just that was it.
And that makes sense because the person who's immune from detain is the relic holder. That's the one person on your team who will never be hit with that detain debuff. So I wonder if just picking the relic just makes you immune to that. That might actually be the strat. You get in there,
So
you
dumb.
you block with the shield for a second,
The way that
you
Bungie
drop
does
it.
these things, like
Yeah,
like I said, I don't know if nobody confirmed it. Nobody has said whether it was intentional or not. We just
Right.
by mistake. Like it was literally by mistake that we happened to chance upon it.
that might actually be the strat. Just ignore detain. Get there. If somebody has it, okay, drop the relic. They pick it up. And since nobody's using the relic to defend on the
Yeah.
middle platform anyway, you can just go to the middle platform, pop your wells. Whoever has the relic just drops it, and whoever gets detained picks it up. That actually might be the strat. I'm gonna have to test that out.
Yeah, we had we kind of had, because of the Oracle issue, we had troubles getting up to Guardians Make Their Own Fate.
Mhm.
And then once we finally did, and then that detain feature came up,
Yeah.
it was just like,
Oh,
okay, all right, now we have this to contend with.
yeah.
What happens? Like, we weren't really paying attention to all the different feeds and about every detail of the raid
Right.
during this, but it was just one extra thing. I'm glad that it's a little nod to Golgoroth.
Right. Yeah.
but
with the explosion.
yeah, but it was just heartbreaking. I'm looking forward to clearing it at some point, probably tomorrow. But
I got detained mid chaos reach and
Oh.
wiped the entire team.
Feels bad.
It feels real bad. They're like, Orchid, how could you? I'm like, I'm sorry. I just had to let it all go. Detained.
That was they like I said, that was quite the surprise when we finally got to damage phase because none of us were expecting it. It took us 2 or 3 runs to figure out what we were doing wrong. We thought for a moment, I think the way we figured it out was we thought, okay, maybe we just can't stand near each other. Maybe there's a tether mechanic between players. So we all went to different spots for DPS. And then one of us noticed that another person was lit up like a Christmas tree and was like, wait, check your buffs. And he noticed he had the detain debuff.
Mhm.
And that was how we wound up figuring that out. But it's just another thing to worry about when you get there to damage phase. And still not the biggest fan of it. But ultimately, I like the fight, though. I think it's challenging. It was a lot of fun. I like the changes they made to oracles. Something Nim, who was here in chat earlier, pointed out to me. I don't know if you guys saw the link I posted. Apparently, Warmind cells blow up the oracles all at once in one shot. So Warmind builds are probably going to be a little bit helpful in the if you're a team that winds up getting teleported. You don't even have to know the order of them. It just blows them all up at once, which counts as a clear. That's pretty neat.
Oh wow.
But I like the change with the oracles there. I like that I like that Bungie made them significantly more difficult with such a simple change. It's the only real change from oracles in D1 is just that you have to destroy them in order rather than just popping them, which I think has made it certainly made a lot of these encounters a lot more frantic. And ultimately, I like the Atheon fight. It's good stuff. overall, the raid is great. I've really enjoyed my time in there. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back in there too. So, what are you guys' overall thoughts on Vault of Glass? Thumbs up for the experience?
I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know if I'm at a point where I would say that bringing Vault of Glass back is better than a new raid,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
given the way that Deepstone Crypt unfolded.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But this is the card we were dealt,
Yeah.
and Vault of Glass is arguably the best raid ever made. So can't really go wrong.
Yeah. And this goes into a question that that Pins Halo was asking for later in the show, but he's like, nostalgia can be a powerful motivator to bring back old content, but at the same point,
yeah.
do you think that it would be better to get a new raid rather than a remake of an old raid? I'm kind of okay if mid-year we get nostalgia content in between content drops, and then just as like a, hey, remember me? Wink. I don't like that it overrides the pinnacle on content that was new 6 months ago.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, we get these major new raid experiences with major content releases like Beyond Light. You know, we got the Deepstone Crypt. We're in a mid-year sort of content drop here. I think it's fine to get some kind of nostalgia stuff like Vault of Glass or you know, returning strikes and whatnot. I I think Bungie's perfectly capable of doing both. I think they're perfectly capable of providing a new raid for the major content drops, so like Witch Queen. Definitely going to have a new raid there. But, you know, a season or two in, when they're in the middle of the year, I could see them dropping a revamped Crota's End or something like that. And I like that. I'm okay with it.
You wonder if situations like that are better than Garden of Salvation or Eater of Worlds and Spire of Stars. You know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about and that's what we're comparing, then obviously I think Vault of Glass is better than those. Anything from Leviathan,
Agreed.
honestly.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
Deepstone Crypt kind of like showed that Bungie's still got it, you know, and they can deliver,
Incredible,
and
man.
they can deliver on everything that you can possibly touch on in a raid, whether it's mechanics, whether it's the artwork, whether it's the music, whether it's like, it's all there. And so when they show you that they can deliver, you know, I want more. It makes me want to have more. And I think Danny bring up a good point, and TBL, you too. Middle of the year, right? Probably not the best time to be investing in these kinds of things, especially given where the story is right now.
Right.
But so I'm just kind of hoping that before Crota makes a return, that we get something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that.
And arguably this season, the past couple seasons, we've gotten a lot of new. We've gotten a lot of different things to play with.
Season of the Chosen really didn't do anything for me at all.
There were, I thought it was a very good season overall, just with the changes that they made to like the storytelling.
Yeah.
The rewards that were given. I was a huge fan of Battlegrounds toward the end there, but you know, we've covered that in the past. But we did get Presage, which is a really impressive mission.
Oh yeah.
And this season, I mean, what's the activity that's coming up here in a couple weeks?
Override. Oh wait.
We have Override.
The weekly activity?
Yes, the weekly pinnacle activity.
Yeah, I think that's all they've called it thus far.
Yeah.
No, they gave us a name for it. I guess I can't remember what
Starts
it is.
with an E.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, like we're bound to get another one of those too. It just seems like for these seasonal bits, we're getting smaller new stuff, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need a raid with every season. It would be nice, but there's just enough on the bone to kind of keep you like going. Oh, it's Expunge. Everybody in chat. Expunge.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
And so it seems like that will be another thing that we'll be doing this season. For the nostalgia hit, yeah, give us a raid or like somebody made a joke about Crota being a dungeon at this point.
Yes. Give me Crota's End as a dungeon.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
That'd be funny. But yeah, they're a really talented group of people, and in the past year, they've done a tremendous job of showing us what they can do from home.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what happens when they get back into the studio setting and what they give us then.
Ditto. So, I guess to cap off this conversation on the returning Vault of Glass, how does it stand up to the original? Do you guys think this was a worthwhile representation of VoG here in D2?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, definitely. I think it was a really good experience. I think the contest mode hits really hard, and I would honestly like it to be an option for it to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like it to be a toggle that I could hit so I could actually do that. Because
I think that's happening later.
Yeah, I'd like that to stay because I want that challenge because I don't want to go in right now and just like one hit everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like as Aura said, like that's I don't want to die because it's suddenly too easy. Because I'm like 13, 15 or something or
It's
whatever.
so easy that you like clown around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in Garden of Salvation, we're just like running around in the pool of stuff that hurts you, and we're like, wee! You know what I mean? Like, being stupid.
Exactly.
So, like this is going to be the same thing. You're going to run behind Atheon. All of the harpies are going to spawn. Like, what's up? And then like,
What's up?
Yeah.
But
What's
so,
up, dude?
yeah,
Like, yeah.
you're going to have a much easier time, and I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing because I feel like a bit more time to digest, some time to rest, some time to refuel.
Right.
Sometimes all you need. Like you're going to come back after 15 hours. You're going to come back better.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. But at the same time, like I do want that challenge. Like with an experienced raid team that knows what they're doing now and has the experience of at least that knows what to expect with like a challenge mode. Like I do want that.
Yeah.
I do want that difficulty level.
Right.
You know.
It seems so on the content map or the roadmap that they've given us, the calendar. June 15th, we'll be getting the Vault of Glass raid challenges. So probably whatever was in the tempo challenges leading up to or the end of worlds or the 24-hour emblem. And then July 6th, we are getting Vault of Glass difficulty options with Solstice of Heroes beginning. So it wouldn't surprise me if that like contest would be a toggle at that point or
That'll be
just
fun.
scaled up.
Yeah, and I think that's where that second set of Vault rewards is slated to drop. The time loss stuff is probably going to be coming from that enhanced difficulty, which is thumbs up from me.
I did enjoy doing like Prestige Leviathan and stuff like that at the beginning of D2, and like I know Spire of Stars wasn't everybody's favorite thing to do. I actually like Spire of Stars, so I like doing like Prestige raids, and I'm glad they're kind of bringing that back a little bit because as much as we complain that Deepstone has kind of become a little bit stale, it's still an amazing raid and I love it, and it's the aesthetic, the lore is so good, and the music and everything is so good and I love it, and I could just keep doing the raid. And actually just Bo in chat helped me get my first clear.
Hey,
hey,
those good people.
Good people.
It was it's an amazing raid and I love it so much, but I wish it had a difficulty toggle as well. So
perhaps that's something that Bungie can look into sometime in the future, doing kind of what they're doing here with Vault of Glass, introducing a challenge mode or a new contest mode with a separate set of rewards. I would love to see them do that for Deepstone Crypt. I'd love another reason to go back in there because narratively speaking, I think it's one of, if not the best raids in Destiny's history.
I think so.
The presentation is just absolutely incredible.
It's stunning. It's a stunning raid. It's a stunning raid. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I want to keep doing it. And I want those reasons to go back to keep doing those raids, because I don't want them to start like shunting raids off and being like, oh well, you've done it now, sorry,
Where the
bye.
vault it goes.
Like, I don't want it to be put back in the vault. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that they took Leviathan, which is a good raid. Like,
Mhm.
I hate that they've taken it away, because like there are people that are coming into Destiny now. They're like, oh, what's Leviathan? Why are you talking about it? Like, it was a good raid, and it sucks that it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And it sucks that Scourge is gone, and that was a good raid. I mean, it was really nice to see part of Scourge like in this season's content.
Right.
Like, I
yeah.
love seeing that location. I'm like, oh, but I'd love to see that brought back too. I don't really care that those like people are there. Bring my raid back. Thanks.
Boot them out.
Yeah, bring my raid back. Okay.
But all right, so there we go. I think that completes our conversation on the Vault of Glass in this initial raid release weekend. I think it's a pretty good time. I think it does the original Vault of Glass. It definitely does it justice.
Mhm.
I think it's a worthwhile expansion here into D2, and can't wait to run it again. But with that, I think that brings us to what? The audience questions?
I believe so. Before we
on.
go too far deep down that hole, though,
Mhm.
our friend Orchid here, our guest Orchid, has she's a wonderful member of the community, especially on the lore side, with hefty responsibilities in the lore network and Focus Fire Chat podcasts.
Mhm.
So, what in the over the past how have you been feeling about the lore that has been introduced this season or the past couple seasons overall?
Goodness, I'd be remiss if I didn't like name all of them. Yeah, I am. The Lore Network is a network of many lore content creators. So we have YouTubers and podcast people and people who write articles for the Lore Network. We've recently shunted all of our stuff over onto Reddit because it's made it easier for people to find, I think, instead of like running it on a website. Also, it got really expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So Kaz PhD is now running the Lore Network instead of Blue, because it's just because Blue's having a baby. So, or Blue's wife is having a baby. Blue
Yeah.
just contributed. But, so yeah, responsibilities have shifted. So Kaz like graciously took over running the Lore Network, which was really nice. So I'm still like community manager person. But yeah, so I'm on Focus Fire Chat and Guardians of Lore and do stuff like that. So yeah, that's fun. The lore for at least since Beyond Light has been really good. Beyond Light was like such a big content drop that in even like I'll talk about like Deepstone Crypt was like mind blowing to say the least. The story has been like very deep and has given us a lot of information on like the Elixir and a lot of information on like the creation of the Exos and a lot of information about like the Vex and how they operate, and has given us information on like about like their Forge Star and about the Vex Exo war and all this really cool information. So like that plus how Keitel like tried to get her dad killed. That's cool. Like you get all these really neat stories, and I think Bungie's done a better way of putting the lore actually into the game now. Because in D1 I didn't really care.
Right.
Because it's like I have to go where to find it. I have to look at a Grimoire card. They're not even in order. I'm just gonna go back in the Crucible. You can find me there. I don't care. Goodbye. And then I'll just go watch like Mylan's videos on YouTube. I'm not gonna read stuff. But in D2, it's nice that everything is like nicely organized. And even like you can find stuff on Ishtar Collective online.
Mhm.
Like it's all like really nicely just like laid out there to read. And it's really easy to find in game now. Like it's super easy. I mean, I love how they have an extra lore tab just like that you can find like in the UI.
Mhm.
Right.
It's super it's nice that they've really made an effort to include the lore more in the little cutscenes and have made it so you can go in the helm and you can hear conversations, and like they've really pushed the story more. So it's not like the good old days of Halo where, you know, the story is like really like integrated and you have books and everything else, but they're doing their best.
Heck yeah.
I think I really like it. So
I
it's
dig
pretty
it.
good. Yeah. So I think it's good. It's a good story.
Heck yeah.
I'm
Right
really
on.
into it.
So is there anything coming up with Focus Fire Chat and the Lore Network on the horizon? Or
So we have GCX coming up in June.
Mhm.
That'll be. Oh, let me pull my calendar. Now you put me on the spot. Jeez,
Sorry.
Louise.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. God. Okay, so GCX is gonna be June 17th through the 20th. And we have the GCX lore panel, which we now have a date for.
Okay.
That's very exciting. So Focus Fire is always on the lore panel every year. Blue, I think, has said he's going to be able to make it. So Blue and I are going to be on the lore panel along with Rhino and Bife and Mylan Games. Who's the last person I'm forgetting? I'm a bad person. Let me check my DMs on Twitter. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're doing a lot.
It's Baxter. Oh my God, how could I forget Baxter? I'm a horrible person, Baxter. I'm so sorry. He's such a good friend of mine. Trash. So it's gonna be my name is Bife. It's gonna be Mylan Games, Baxter, who runs Ishtar Collective, where you can read all of your lore needs, all of it on the internet. They're really good. They just pull all the APIs that Bungie releases and put it into a very easily readable format. And it's gonna be Rhino, and it's gonna be me and Blue Crew. And I'm like, why are you inviting me? He's like, because you're on Focus Fire Chat. I'm like, oh no.
Hey.
Sucks to be you guys, because I'm gonna be there. So that is going to be on June 19th at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Right on.
Excellent.
So GCX is virtual this year, so it's going to be on the interwebs. So I'm going to be in my pajamas instead of in Florida. Next year it'll be in Florida, so all of you guys can give me hugs. But this year it's going to be from my house.
Excellent.
Good stuff.
Yeah. But it's going to be very chaotic. They're not going to know what hit them. So watch out.
Chaotic lore panel. You love to see it.
Oh yeah, I
We'd
mean,
love to see
like
it.
Bife is like the nicest person ever, and like Mylan has started streaming full time, so he is just like he's ascended to his like final form, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be chaos extreme, and like so Blue's office has been we had like Texas and in Oklahoma and like all those places that I've never really been to. I had really bad storms. I guess. When did you guys have bad storms? In like the early part of the year.
Yeah.
I guess. And so he had a pipe burst in his office, like right above his desk.
That sounds
And so
familiar,
his
Aura.
like, I know. So his like, his entire like office flooded, and
I know what that's like.
destroyed his office. And he's been like for months has been trying to like renovate his office and like fix it and deal with like contractors and insurance people. And so we haven't recorded in like, and this was before Christmas, I think, or right. It was like Thanksgiving time, maybe, when this
It
happened.
was a while ago.
It was a long time ago. So we haven't, or because we always take December off for we always take December off
Mm-hmm.
because it's nice. Yeah, was that right, Pens? Yeah, Pens is in chat. Pens knows everything because he's our community manager. So
Yeah.
I don't have to remember anything because Pens organizes things for us. Yeah, so so we haven't recorded in like 6 months.
Yeah.
I did like an update to update people on like, yeah, Pens knows everything. Yeah, I don't do anything. So yeah, we haven't recorded anything. So I haven't actually spoken to Blue. Like I text him every day, but I haven't actually like spoken to him.
Oh,
It's
man.
been really weird. Yeah. Yeah. So GCX will probably be the first time I'll speak to Blue in like 6 months.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
So we're hoping to get his office like finished by then.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and then we can actually start having episodes again. Because I like actually miss recording
Right.
stuff.
Right.
I've tried to have like little things on my own, but it's like very scary since I just joined Focus Fire in like
And immediately kind of
September,
thrust in this role.
and then immediately been like, okay, you're on your own. Bye. I'm like, what? No, I'm sorry.
Well,
no.
well, let's get into audience questions here. We have
Cool.
a question from Frankie M3. What other ritual weapon perks like Reservoir Burst should come to other legendaries? I think that Breakneck would be nice for auto rifles. Is what?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that perk, but it's the one that increased its rate of fire without dropping its impact. I think that would be that would instantly make a few auto rifles top tier again.
Yes.
I think that would be better on machine guns. If Bungie brought that back and put it on machine guns, I would probably it'd be incredibly powerful. It would do less to make them broken like it would certain auto rifles.
Yeah.
I
I
can
don't
see
know
that
enough
coming
about
back
the
to
perks that came out this season. Like for all
Yeah.
a lot of people are talking about weapons this season as if they've upped the ante and that more weapons are usable and more fun than they had been in seasons past. So I'm on board with whatever Bungie's kind of doing right now. I think
there
they're
are
on
a
the right
couple
path
really good
forward.
ones. Like there's been some really
Chroma
good
Rush
ones
is
added in.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
one
love
that's been
Chroma Rush.
everywhere.
Yeah.
The Future War Cult SMG. I forget what it's called. Stoic. I don't know.
Stochastic variable.
Yeah, I got a couple of them that really shred, and I don't even
Yeah.
know what the perks are called. It's just everything dies. It might as well just call it everything's dead. That should be the name of the perk.
It was one of the better submachine guns of year one of D2, and really happy to see it back. I think a lot of the splicer weapons are really good. Ignition Code, the grenade launcher, is super good. Like Orchid said, the Chroma Rush has been the talk of the town for a lot of people. It's a rapid fire auto rifle that gets some pretty nutty rolls. Now that they've kind of buffed and changed the way subsistence work, it's really, really powerful on something like an auto rifle. You mix it with Rampage or Kill Clip or something like that, and you just have this weapon that never runs out of ammo and continually makes itself stronger. And it's a laser beam, so super good. I like a lot of the weapons that have been introduced this season.
Mhm.
But when it comes to ritual weapons, because the question was about ritual perks coming back.
Yeah.
So we already mentioned the Breakneck one. I think that would be really interesting as an LMG perk. Master of Arms. Stop being cowards, Bungie. Bring it back. Bring back Master of Arms. I don't know what weapon it's going to get put on, but bring it back and put it on something. And for those who don't know, that was the perk on the Recluse.
Mm-hmm.
I just want Recluse back.
You know.
Bring it back, cowards. Also
You
bring
wish
back
cowards.
Mountaintop, cowards.
It's funny to me that they nerfed Mountaintop and nerfed Recluse and then introduced other guns that basically do the same thing.
Right?
In some instances, a little bit better. Mountaintop
Yeah.
is a very particular beast, but Salvager's Salvo is as
It's
close
almost
to a
just as bad.
Mountaintop. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
to a Mountaintop that we've gotten. It's like, why did you nerf Mountaintop and then bring the Salvo, which has like all of the best PvE perks you could possibly have on a special weapon?
Right? Just make it a primary and then like just call it Mountaintop 2.
Right? It's the same thing.
Like Mountaintop at home.
Yeah, I think that's a funny, weird decision Bungie made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking through here and trying to like see. I have a list of some of them. I remember liking Randy's throwing knife.
Yeah.
It might have been one of the only scout rifles outside of Viced that I actually enjoyed.
Did that have a perk that made it good though?
I don't think
I don't
so.
remember
Like,
a standout perk.
It's still so good in Crucible though.
yeah,
Yeah. You can use it in everything but trials. Like
Mhm.
it's in Iron Banner, it's still so good. Like one person I play with like repeatedly on a regular basis still uses it.
yeah, but it doesn't seem like it has any like perks that are like specific to like Zen Moment
Yeah. Yeah.
and like it's a rapid fire frame. It was like full auto. It has Zen Moment, kill clip, snapshot, and rapid hit, which is probably why it's good. But I remember liking the feel of it more than some of the scouts. I got a couple of vision rolls from
Yeah.
the vault, and it's a scout. So I don't know. I want stuff that makes scouts good.
They still need an update,
Yeah.
especially in PvE. I think they need to deal more damage in PvE.
Just a tad. Looking through here, Gray Fox asks, with Vault of Glass getting released and out in the wild with some changes, did it meet your expectations? Were you disappointed that it didn't have any story implications, or at least an unlock in the current season?
I'd say it met my expectations. I was expecting it to be Vault of Glass.
Yeah.
From D1. That was the only thing we could compare it to, and it's basically Vault of Glass with D1 with a couple of changes thrown in there. It doesn't really bother me that there was no real story reason for going back there. I didn't expect
Right.
there to be, so I wasn't disappointed by that.
I was overall. I'm glad that it's back.
Yeah.
It could not be back,
Mm.
and things would be worse.
Yeah,
But like,
fair enough.
yeah. I mean, on this day, it could be worse. If we hadn't gotten it, I don't know. I'm fine with it not having any story implications. I was kind of expecting it to be standard D1 vanilla stuff, but
Mhm.
I think that the version that we have now is even better than the Age of Triumph version of Vault that we got toward the end of Destiny 1's life cycle.
The only thing that I have an issue with is the weapons are not static roll. Like I got my Hezen Vengeance and it doesn't have 3 rockets in it. And, like,
Yeah,
there
it
was
feels
one thing
bad.
about Hezen Vengeance that was like really cool. The only thing, about it that was special was the fact that it was the only rocket that could have 3 rockets in the chamber.
Yeah,
So that's I'm sure it's going to work out for the better, but like I found that to be mildly annoying.
I feel that.
Final question comes from Landfell. Now that we know Bungie can successfully update raids for D2 Sandbox, which raid do you hope is next? A new one.
No.
Yeah. Would you like
Because
to
your only
explain?
options are Crota's End, Wrath of the Machine,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is
Which
there another
King's
one?
Fall.
King's Fall?
King's Fall.
I
I
don't
think
think
want
that
Wrath
one.
pick
of
would
the
be King's
Machine.
Fall, I guess, but
I'm on the Wrath of the Machine train with you. It was like
Yeah, I want Wrath of the Machine.
incredibly
No.
action packed.
no, that raid sucked.
I want Wrath of the Machine.
Would you like to explain your reasoning there, Aura? What rubs you wrong about Wrath of the Machine?
It sucked.
Why?
It's a shitty raid.
Just end.
Because like dropping down to like, you know what? Maybe fixing the machine would be cool if you had more than one frame to do it. So who knows?
But now you have mantling.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Nothing about that raid was all that exciting to me. It really didn't do for me what King's Fall or Vault of Glass did.
Right.
I think it was
King's Fall
tough
is
shoes to
good.
follow, but like nothing about it was like, what is this spider looking tanky fallen? Where did he even like whatever? Just nothing about it really spoke to me.
I just think with the movement options that we have now, I'd be excited to see like that space. Because one thing that did pull me, like seeing the Atheon throne room
Oh yeah.
in this new version, it looked enormous.
Yeah.
And
It's gorgeous.
yeah, and
It's so shiny.
I don't know. I would like to see what they would do with that in this new version of Destiny.
I'm just thinking of like all the little things that they could change with Wrath of the Machine, and with all the new options that we have with supers and with stasis and with new aspects they're still bringing to the game, and with options. If I mean, they wouldn't bring it until next year, so I mean, we're not going to get a new super next year. Like that's not going to happen most likely. But I mean, we're going to have like new developments still, and like new sandbox changes, and like more new
Right.
weapons. So I mean, like just think of like all the possibilities we could have like a year down the line with Wrath of the Machine and everything we have in D2 now. Like, just think of how broken it would be. Like, the possibilities would be kind of endless.
Yeah, and especially
Yeah.
if
I
it-
mean,
if it
even
doesn't have-
King's Fall too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we're in a version of Destiny where it's not married to, where that kind of nostalgia content isn't married necessarily into story.
Yeah, they can just introduce
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It was really hard to when they started introducing D1 content back into D2 for a lore person like me, when they're like, it's a moment in time, it's not in the story. When they could easily say, oh, we're going back into the Vault of Glass to, you know, rescue, like, to do something, to do this, do that, do the other. Because I mean, the vault is, you know, a conflux of time. It is the past, the present, the future, all at the same time. It's a weird wibbly wobbly timey wimey shit. So, like, you could do all of this. You could introduce all of the story and a reason why you'd have to go back into the vault. You could introduce like a new way to open the vault on a different planet. Like, there are different ways to do it, but they chose not to.
Yeah.
So with that possibility, you could do other ways. You could do other stuff, but since they're not, we have all these D1 strikes now when they haven't even changed the dialogue.
Right? Yeah.
They haven't even gotten new dialogue. It's our
Copy
same
paste.
old ghost that sucks from D1, and he sounds so sad. Like it's not even like peppy D2 ghost. It's like sad D1 ghost who sounds mad at us for some reason. It's like, okay, like House of Devils is doing a thing. Like, no, they're not. House of Devils
They
isn't
haven't-
doing anything.
We wiped
They're
it
House
out.
of
dead.
Devils, they're dead now. Like,
They are quite dead.
could you just change that one line of dialogue so it's not that place?
We are
Like,
their nightmares.
they're we're the reason why their children don't sleep anymore. Okay.
hmm
So I mean, it's there are things they could do, but since they don't, just bring them back. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a way to handle it.
Yep.
Yeah. The lore person in me is really sad about it, but you know, the D2 player in me is really happy about it.
Yeah. The duality. Well, all right. Was that the last question we had?
That was the last question, sir.
All right. I do believe that brings us to the end of episode 279 of the Planet Destiny podcast. This one's been a lot of fun. I think we did a pretty good job of going through everything we could when it comes to the re-release of the Vault of Glass here in the world of Destiny 2. I think it's a worthwhile experience that every Guardian should try to go for. It's I had a lot of fun in there, and I had a lot of fun here tonight talking with everybody about it. Of course, before we get on out of here, we want to issue very special thanks to our guest host tonight, Orchid, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun.
No, absolutely. It was great having you here and getting to hear about your world's first run experience in VOG.
I'm so tired.
Get yourself some sleep, because good Lord. 16 hours, was it, that you spent in
16
there?
and a half, almost 17. Yeah.
My goodness. I'm bravo.
I'm,
You worked
I'm a
harder
little
than I
cooked.
did.
I'm a little cooked.
But
I'd
before we
do it
get on
again in a
anyway,
heartbeat.
I mean, who knows? It might happen when they re-release the challenge in the harder mode later on in a couple of months.
Totally do it again.
We do it again.
Yep.
So before we get on out of here, of course, we do want to turn the floor over to you and let you take the floor and tell everybody where they can find you across the internet and all the different places they can hear you at. So if you would.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. You can find me on Twitter at HeyItsOrchid. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/HeyItsOrchid. You can find me on Guardians of Lore. And you can find me on Focused Fire Chat, 2 Destiny Lore podcasts. You can find those wherever you want to download your podcasts on your podcatcher of choice. You can also find me on thelorenetwork.com alongside many impressive lore content creators. And you'll be able to find me at GCX in a month at the lore panel alongside way more impressive lore content creators than myself. I just put lore memes on Twitter. They actually put out lore content. I just put Atheon memes on Twitter. So like I said, that'll be in mid-June. So that'll be on Saturday of GCX at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Right on.
So yeah, you can find me at the lore panel. That'll be fun. You can ask lots of lore questions and I will pass it on to people who actually know what they're talking about.
There we go, one and all. Make sure you go and follow there and tune into GCX for the big panel there. Can't wait to see it.
It'll be fun.
As for the rest of us, we got our usual people here. Although, one person, Aura, where you at, man? What you got going on?
You can't find me. I'm not. I don't exist. This is it. This is it for me. You can find me right here, maybe once every 6 months. We got a baby coming. Do all this.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm dealing with. I ain't been around. I don't know when I'll be back, but I'll be back. Maybe. We'll see.
We're right on.
I'm Aura.
Like I said at the start of the show, I had no idea you were going to be here tonight. Super excited to have you here, man. It was great having you on the show again.
Thank you.
Love you, brother. Dan, what about you?
Oh, hi. My name is Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are L's. You can also find me 3 times a week, twitch.tv/Danfinity, where I play video games with friends and help people through content in Destiny 2. Also playing Mass Effect right now, and it is fun.
Still digging it, huh?
It's fun. I've started a female shop, and started running through, and the save feature didn't take, and so it started me all the way back.
How do you do this?
No,
But it's fun.
you have to save it all
but
the
it's
time.
actually
Have you
fun.
learned nothing from the original? Dumb.
If there's one thing that chat can tell you about me, it's that I've learned nothing the entire time I've been streaming.
I'm so disappointed in you right now, Dan.
Rest
You
in
have
peace.
to save it yourself. Rest in pieces.
So sad.
You got to experience twice the fun.
Yeah.
So to look at it like that.
I got the old console experience.
Oh,
on
no.
on the new generation.
Oh my god.
Big yike.
I'm so sad for you. The biggest yikes of them all.
That's the biggest yikes of the night.
Oh my god.
Of course, my name is The Black Link. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at The Black Link. If we do have some live streams, I generally do stream from Monday to Friday, starting at around 11 a.m. Eastern time, going to about 1, 2 in the afternoon. Got to be doing a lot of Destiny 2 this week. Probably going to be some VOG runs thrown in on stream and all that kind of stuff. So tune in, have fun. If you're checking for any of the incoming Destiny 2 guides and news videos, you can find those over on the Planet Destiny YouTube channel at youtube.com/Planet Destiny. Make sure you tune in. But all right, everybody, that is it for episode 279 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to this week in Destiny. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.